This section, which we've entitled Project Framework or Foundational Concepts, maps onto the first 3 chapters in the PMBOK guide. So we want to get off to a really good start here. We're going to go through some basic definitions and some key core concepts. And you want to get a really good handle on all of this, of course, because we're going to be building on these as we move into the later knowledge areas in the later sections. So here's the main topics that we're going to cover here. We're going to go through some basic definitions again about what's a project, what does a project manager do, what's the key role for a project manager in the PMI view of things, talk a little bit about organizational structures, though we're moving a lot of the discussion of organizational structures to basically the extended section or the secondary materials. They've taken a lot of that material out of version 6 of the PMBOK guide, so we're moving our discussions to a secondary area. A key core areas to talk about the stakeholders on projects and know kind of the classic groups of stakeholders on projects today. Talk about different types of life cycles, 3 different life cycles, the product life cycle, the project life cycle, and the one that's a little trickier, the project management life cycle. And then last, kind of wrap up with the discussion of common ITTO, common inputs, tools and techniques and outputs that you'll see in many, many different processes. Okay, this is pretty fundamental. What is a project? What is a project for PMI? And it's all about creating something new. And there's one of 3 things that we can create: a new product, a new service, or a result. Well, what in the heck is a result? Well, maybe a result is just an update to an existing product or an existing service. We're adding on new features, we're making it work better, we're fixing bugs. So that might be a result. But in most cases, once we finish the project life cycle, once we created our new product or our new service, we hand it over to operations, and this new product goes into service, and we've got to smoothly transition to operations. However, there are corner cases. There are some projects that we just do for their own sake. Maybe it's climbing a mountain. Maybe that's been a goal on the punch list that we've always wanted to get done. Learning to play a musical instrument. So this is just a result. This is just a goal that we want to create unto itself. It's not really that we're transitioning to operations or we're worried about the rest of the product life cycle, if you will. We're just doing this project for its own sake. So that might be a result. So since we're creating something new, it's got to have a beginning and an end. So therefore it's temporary. So that leads us to this formal definition for a project. It's a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. So what's project management for PMI? And here's the formal definition. So pretty long and wordy, yes. So it is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, techniques, and resources to project activities to meet project requirements. So like I said, that's a mouthful. So we all know there's a lot of art and science involved in project management. So maybe a better definition, something simpler, is it's just the art and science of getting work done. And to be successful, we're focusing on all 5 process groups as project managers. And so probably especially we're focusing on getting plans done well for the project and then executing against those plans and creating our widgets, creating the project deliverables. And then always we're checking the heartbeat of the project. That's monitoring and controlling. We're always checking to see, are we on budget? Are we on schedule? Are we meeting scope? Are we meeting quality? What is our progress? What is our forecast? So we're focusing on a lot of that. In the older versions of the PMBOK guide, they also said project managers must have these 3 capabilities, and they must be well versed in all 3 of these areas. They must have a lot of knowledge. So we must have core knowledge in all of the 10 knowledge areas, right? And there's some things here in these 10 knowledge areas that differentiates what we do as managers from operations managers. We're focusing on staffing our project with resources. We're focusing on getting all the requirements and putting that into a scope statement and building a WBS and defining a schedule. So most operations managers don't have to deal with those last items. So we must have the knowledge in all these 10 knowledge areas to be able to accomplish those items, but that's not enough at all, is it? We've got to execute against that. We've got to perform against that and make that all happen. And so a lot of people have a lot of the good book sense, but they are, when you put them in a crisis situation, sometimes they can be lost. Sometimes they can be that proverbial deer in headlights and just not able to execute against the knowledge that they have. So we've got to be able to do that. And a lot of that requires good people skills. So very good project management is really more about people skills than it is technical skills, right? It's not really about the IQ part of the equation. It's not really about how much we know about quantitative risk analysis or all the quality control tools that could be used, or some of these other technical tools and techniques. It's not about the IQ part of the equation. It's really about the EQ part, the emotional intelligence part, the people skills. And what does that all really reduce to? Good communication skills. And what are good communication skills really essentially? What's the key part of it that a lot of us, I have a technical background. I was a systems engineer. What is it that a lot of technical people and systems engineers like me sometimes struggle at? Listening. So all good communicators are necessarily very good listeners. So we must have these skills.